Alabama's WVUA News at 6 with your award-winning news team, Lynn Brooks, Philip Coleman, weather with Richard Scott, and sports with Gary Harris.
Tonight on WVUA News at 6, Alabama legislators could possibly rewrite Alabama's new immigration law. So what changes could that bring to the state? And charter schools could soon be coming to Alabama. Hear what local educators have to say about it. Plus, it's a big weekend for Tuscaloosa as the 2012 Crimson Tide football team laces up to show off its skills. But first, one family is starting over for the second time in a year after a house fire this afternoon in Tuscaloosa County. Thanks for joining us. I'm Philip Coleman. Lynn Brooks is on assignment. The Hudson family lived on Holt-Peterson Road when their home was destroyed by the April 27 tornado. Today, their new home was struck by fire. The battalion chief with Fire Station No. 1 says they received a call this afternoon about a house fire on Moonlight Drive in the Hillcrest area. Pate says the home was fully involved when crews arrived on the scene. The mother had just left the residence to pick up her children from school. When she returned, the home was on fire. The battalion chief says the fire was in the attic, and there is extensive fire damage in the attic, along with smoke damage all throughout the home. Pate says other houses were also affected.
It probably took the guys maybe 10 minutes after they got here to get the fire under control. It did cause a little slight damage to two houses on each side of it, minor damage to the vinyl siding on those other two houses.
And Pate says the cause of the fire is still unknown and remains under investigation. In tonight's Education Watch, charter schools may become a reality. The state legislature is moving ahead with a bill to allow the schools in Alabama, but not all education leaders like the idea. WVUA's Jennifer Edwards has the details.
Education leaders' feelings are mixed with the recent committee approval of the bill authorizing 20 charter schools in Alabama.
It's causing everyone to look at doing things a little bit differently. And I commend the legislature for looking at this and giving school systems the opportunity to do things a little bit differently than we've been in the past.
I just can't imagine the wisdom of our legislature. They're supposed to have some good minds down there thinking that in the worst financial situation we've had in generations, that they should take monies and give it to somebody else.
According to UA Professor of Education, Dr. Wayne Urban, regular public schools may not necessarily lose money, but a student state financial allotment would follow them to the charter school.
It's unlikely that they'll be able to not, to cut a school bus route or to cut a teacher, not when you're losing 2 or 3 or 4 students. So I think that's what people are concerned about. The loss of money and the commitment to keep up the services with less money.
According to Alabama Representative Bill Poole, with the current bill, public charter schools would only be allowed in districts where there is a persistently failing public school. Reporting in Tuscaloosa, Jennifer Edwards, WVUA News.
And according to Representative Poole, the bill passed the House by committee today and now qualifies for consideration by the full House. But Poole says the consideration of the bill has not yet been scheduled. Alabama legislators will now begin the task of reviewing a bill that rewrites Alabama's new immigration law, which some people call the toughest in the nation. The bill by a Republican representative was introduced last week and has been debated, will be debated Wednesday morning at a meeting of the House Public Safety and Homeland Security Committee. The bill was introduced to ease some of the concerns that have been raised by religious groups and others about the new immigration law approved by the legislature last year. The Reverend Angie Wright, pastor of Beloved Community United Church of Christ in Birmingham, says this rewrite does not relieve the concerns of religious leaders. Tonight we have an update on the death of a U of A student who fell from the Bama Bell on Thursday night. Captain Lloyd Baker with Tuscaloosa Metro Homicide Unit says his team has interviewed dozens of witnesses in the case. He says the witnesses include the boat's crew and friends that were with 20-year-old Trey Jones at the time he went overboard. Captain Baker says the investigation concluded that Jones went over the rail of the boat intentionally.
The witnesses we've spoken to on the boat that were near him or saw him, including the staff, indicate to us that they observed him go over the rail in a way that appeared intentional, where he actually jumped over the rail.
And Baker also says that the crew of the Bama Belle acted appropriately following the incident. Investigators are still waiting for a toxicology report to determine if alcohol was involved. Now, police are still looking for a man convicted of murder who escaped from the Alabama State Prison in Greensboro. Authorities are looking for 42-year-old Timothy Richards. Officials say Richards was found missing from his bed early Sunday morning from the state cattle ranch in Greensboro. They are now taking their search to the air, using helicopters to search wooded areas surrounding the ranch. The Alabama Department of Corrections says Richards could not be located during an inmate count. Authorities say all appropriate law enforcement agencies were notified. Richards was sentenced to life in prison back in February of the year 2000 in Walker County. Now, Richards is described as a white male, 6 feet 4 inches tall, weighing 230 pounds, blue eyes, and blonde hair. According to the Department of Corrections, the cattle ranch is a minimum security prison, and Richards was only 1 year away from possible parole.
He has a 90-day disciplinary-free record, clear record, and he's eligible. He's within 3 years of his most recent EOS, expiration of sentence or parole consideration date. So he's within 3 years of a possible release, that being in May of 2013. So those things make him eligible for minimum custody.
And also, according to Corbett, if Richards is found, he would be brought back to the Department of Corrections and then put in a higher security level prison. He could also face other charges. Now, still to come here on WVUA News at 6.